shares. Let's look at the markets. We've almost completely unchanged on the Nifty 50 on the benchmark, trading at 17,951. The top gainers on the Nifty 50, all automotive stocks, the likes of Tata Motors gaining about 2.7%, likely quite a few large deals taking place in that counter. Bajaj Auto, Eicher also gaining, Hero MotoCorp up over 1%. So let's focus in on automotive and let's have a conversation about where things stand right now. We're in the midst of the festive season, which, as you know, is the most important season for the automotive sector as a whole. We're joined now by Hormuz Sarabji, who is editor at Autocar India, as well as Mitul Shah, who is the head of research at Reliance Securities. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining in. Hormuz, I'll start with you. You have a pulse, considering the amount of work that you do on the ground, the cars that you see, the people that you speak with. There have been several issues on the supply front. Probably we haven't seen a festive season like this in many, many years. What are you seeing on the ground, though? The demand seems to be intact. Is that the case across all categories of vehicles, though?
I think, the demand is there. Obviously, coming out of COVID, or let's say, with COVID lessening, I think the cases going down, there's a lot more confidence in the market. People are definitely going to be flocking to showrooms. I mean, we saw scenes for the XUV 700. I mean, it was unprecedented to see such a kind of a jam-packed crowd in the showroom, as if COVID never happened. But it's not across all segments. I think the lower end of the market is still struggling. And that's really, it's ironical that the chip problem is really in the higher-end cars and not so much in the lower-end cars. But at the lower end, the demand is much more subdued. I think the budget buyers have been hit more by COVID in the sense that they are a little averse to spending right now. They still want to save up. So I think overall, yes, demand definitely is there, but the waiting lists are just getting longer and longer. And, we've seen that with the XUV 700, 50,000 bookings is going to take, if your booking number is 50,000, I don't think you'll get your car here at this rate.
Talk about two-wheelers, Mitul, because this is something I think a lot of people look at as a barometer, how things are going, particularly motorcycle sales for the rural economy. What's your reading of how things are? They seem to have lagged in the recent past. Is that a sign of things to come for this festive season?
See, two-wheeler is probably one of the segment which has been showing some weakness since past few months. There are two reasons, as you pointed out rightly. Rural has more impact, and this product is also primarily a rural product. So, two impact coming in since last 6 to 8 months. The price increase was every quarter roughly 2.5% kind of a price hike has been witnessed in the segment. So this segment, consumer are very price sensitive. That is one part, and which has been impacting the demand. And secondly, till the end of September, monsoon was not great. There was an uneven monsoon. Initially, there was a huge deficit. Later on, it was an excess rainfall in many places. So this was not favorable for the rural economy in this season, which has also impacted rural consumption for two-wheeler as well as tractor also, which is visible in tractor sales, which has been also declining in double digits since last 2-3 months. So that's why we believe that festive season for two-wheeler may not be as great as it was last year.
Thomas, good morning. It's Nantara. So if you were to look at the XUV 700, the kind of bookings it got, right, in the first 48 hours, there's a lot of excitement when it comes to Tata Motors, not just on the share price and the way it's zooming ahead, but the markets always know something. Is something exciting coming from the house of Tata? Is Tata Motors getting ready for some new launches?
Well, I think the big one was the Tata Punch, which it sits at the lower end of their range. So I think that was the last one. But to be honest, after this, there's not going to be a big new launch for a while. And in fact, the Punch is the last of the all-new vehicles that are coming for quite some time now. I think what we're going to see going forward is a lot of refreshes, a lot of facelifts and facelifts on facelifts. So that's what's going to happen. But I think Tata Motors is a different story. It's really an amazing story that, despite a lot of limitations, despite a lot of product gaps, they've been doing really well. I think they've really kind of clicked in the market. The brand has come of age right now. People see it as a brand which is of a certain level of quality. Of course, it's still not right there with global quality, but it's getting there. But they're well priced. They look great. And, there's a strong, let's say, as I said, a good feel-good factor around the brand. And that's what's really driving Tata Motors sales right now.
And one must talk about it, Hormaz, is what Ola has done, right? Disrupting the two-wheeler market. Bhavesh Agarwal on Twitter said he sold 4 scooters a second. They're not able to meet up with the demand. They do plan to enter passenger vehicles as well, go global as well. So, quick word on the two-wheeler market. A lot of pickup activity you're seeing on that front? A channel check with the companies, etc.?
No, but I think as was said earlier by Mitul, that two-wheeler is really a very, very price-sensitive segment right now. I think just the cost of owning a two-wheeler has shot up, be it in terms of prices of the product itself, running costs. I think at 100 rupees a litre, it really, really hurts, a two-wheeler buyer more than, let's say, even a four-wheeler buyer time. Can EVs, let's say, be, let's say, an alternative? I think the jury is still out. Obviously, there's a rapid growth in the EV two-wheeler business. We've seen what's happening with Ather. And I'll just, I'll wait and see what Ola is going to do, because right now their words are speaking louder than their actions. We've got to see how quickly they get the vehicles on the road. I've booked one myself just to see when I get it. I've been told I'm getting it in February right now. So, I'll just, pause on that one and beyond the smoke and mirrors, let's see finally how many scooters they actually put on the road.
Keen on hearing, Hormaz, what your review of the vehicle is. I shall wait with bated breath, I'm sure.
Well, they haven't let us ride it yet, so that.
No, when you finally get the vehicle for yourself.
They said they indicated September, then they indicated October, so I don't know when it's coming, but anyone's guess. Yeah.
Okay, but I do want to talk, Mitul, coming to you now on this commodity inflation pressure that a lot of automotive companies have had to deal with. It's been pointed out, quite a few of them have managed to pass it on to a certain extent to customers in price-sensitive spaces. Maybe that's a little bit challenging. But what is your anticipation in terms of margins getting scrimped? Do you think that because of the demand they're able to somewhat cushion things? Or do you think that we see over the course of the rest of this year some scrimping of margins for these automotive companies?
Yeah, as pointed out by Mr. Hormaz, that the segment is price sensitive, but people are more in terms of demand for the high-end products, particularly high-end XUVs. But entry-level products are facing these challenges similar to two-wheelers. So even in entry-level cars, price increase is not so easy. And that would be probably seen in the Maruti results also in terms of lower margins. But in terms of many other high-end products, even in two-wheelers also, people are relatively better placed in terms of price hike, and which is visible in few results. For example, yesterday RK Forging reported results wherein RM by sales was quite lower compared to last year. So this indicates that these people has a decent pricing power, and particularly in an environment of supply constraint, always the manufacturer has some power to pass on this commodity cost inflation. It was very sharp during last few months, so probably in Q4 and Q1 they could not pass on completely, but in a phased manner. By end of Q2, we believe that majority of the cost inflation is already passed on. Now, if at all any further price increase happens on the steel or aluminum side, then we have to see whether they'll be able to do so in the coming festival season or not. But so far, we are comfortable in terms of these companies passing on cost escalation, barring few entry-level vehicles.
Fair enough. I want to come to you, Hormuz, on a topic I think that has been spoken about a lot, particularly by OEMs, and perhaps there's a little bit of worry. You've spoken about this as well, but since then I'm wondering if you've had any further conversations on the flex engines. There seems to be growing sounds coming in for the increase in the ratio of ethanol, but do you think that the industry is ready? What about the cost? I think you've also pointed out that the cost is not significant, but how do you manage to do it across the board? Is this something we see in the very near term?
No, the cost is not significant for the oil marketing companies, for the oil companies. They just have to dose it accordingly. It's not, but it's hugely significant for the OEMs, because you have to not only recalibrate the engines, you have to change the material and make them more resistant to corrosion, because ethanol as a fuel is a lot more corrosive in nature. So it's a huge challenge. And you're throwing these whammies on one side. On one side you're talking about go electric, the other side you're talking about ethanol. Manufacturers have limited resources, and with all these conflicting kind of messages coming, OEMs don't know where to put their money. It's impossible for any OEM, not just in India but globally, to kind of deploy this amount of resource needed for each and every technology. So I think that is very confusing, and I think there has to be absolute clarity and a long-term policy drawn out as far as what the kind of let's say fuel source should be. Or frankly, I think the best thing that should be is that one should just give a number on emissions, and whatever technology meets that best, let the OEM decide that.
Hormuz as well as Mithul, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Insightful conversation as always. Thank you so much for taking the time. On that note, we're slipping into a short break on this edition of The Market. Do stay tuned, lots more on the other side, and we'll be back right after this break.